for every accomplishment that you do. So this is a sort of gamification which Dropbox has applied. And this, indeed, you would have all observed at one or the other point. Which application is this? LinkedIn. So this is a LinkedIn application. They have gamified their process. So earlier you wouldn't have seen this progress bar. So this progress bar is similar to what we see in games, where after progressing through certain levels, the progress bar slowly increases or decreases. So here, what we see is they have introduced this profile strength, whereby it says whether you're a beginner level or an expert level or an intermediate level. And they also motivate you to fill up your LinkedIn profile. So you would be adding your experience, you would be adding your company's name and so on. And it shows that after you add your experience, you'll get 5% extra progress, which motivates you to go and complete your entire profile. So this has indeed worked for companies like LinkedIn. You would have seen that most of the companies now, they have adopted progress bar in their application. So this is one of the ways in which people can be motivated. So having seen all these real world scenarios, we have certain aspects which can be related. For example, sales competition. This is like a challenge which you see in a game. And then frequent flyer programs. This is like beginner level, intermediate level, and so on. We have the level system and Weight Watchers group. You can form an alliance with each other. For example, your friends, and then you can play against each other. So they have been successfully using it, and reward system and badge system and so on. So these have been the game elements which have been applied in the real world. Now, when we look at what gamification is not, it's not really making everything a game. So when we look at LinkedIn, they haven't really made it into a game, but still they are applying certain gamification concepts into it. And it's not use of games in business. We are definitely not going to play solitaire at our office instead of testing. So we are still going to retain whatever our initial goal is, that is to test. And it's not just points, leaderboards, and badges. Just making use of these jargons into our application is not going to help. So having said this in mind, the question now is, will gamification help us? So we are testing a lot of application. Now coming back to the same old challenge that what we had, we have a lot of apps to test and a lot of devices to test. Can these elements be applied in our day-to-day activities so that we can be relieved out of most of regression work? So when we look at the software teams, we do a lot of regression, and it's really boring in case automation is not in place. And even if automation is in place, it's a huge activity to do a maintenance of it. Definitely, I'm not saying that don't do automation. It's definitely essential. But what you see is there is, nevertheless, whatever automation, there is a lot of manual work, and it would get boring over a period of time. So when we look at a few real-world examples into the software quality itself, how gamification has helped, one of the interesting aspects is Microsoft, where they came up with a dialog box. It had a translated version of most of the non-English languages. So here you could see Hindi. In Hindi, what they have seen is they have translated most of the words, but these translation might not hold good. So you would see that most of the Microsoft products, they were buggy earlier, but now they are quite advanced. They are almost good in their standards. So they overcame this by involving audience apart from the testing team within the project. So the testing team within the project is very limited. Say it can have a max of 50 testers in it. But when you look at the application, this might not be sufficient to do the entire coverage of the application. So what they did is they came up with a brilliant idea that they opened this testing to team members outside their own project. So anyone can test. So as you test, you will be given certain points, and you are given a leaderboard where the person who's going to score more number of points, he will be automatically upgraded in the leaderboard. So this worked. So 4,500 employees, they participated in it. They reviewed over around 5 lakh dialog boxes, and they reported 6,700 bugs. Hundreds of significant fixes were made, and it was quite a good amount of testing which went into it. So this would not have been accomplished otherwise. So this is from our own Cognizant. What they conducted is a bug Premier League. So they came up with bugs Premier League to reduce the number of Sev2. So there's the white paper, you can refer in Cognizant website. But what is important is they gave certain awards, they rewarded the system, and it really worked. So people were awarded orange caps, green caps, purple caps, similar to how IPL works. And it worked because people voluntarily went and they took up all the Sev2 issues and they resolved it. So the number of the severe defects in the system gradually went down. So this is from Cognizant. And again, what is important to note is, though they have certain metrics, an idea, there were 400 plus innovation ideas which came up during this period, which means that there is a lot of scope for innovation when you involve external teams into your own team, where they would be motivated to give you more ideas which might not naturally occur. So these sort of gamification elements, they really help. So some game-like concepts which we can use to analyze our testing could be like context and games around, rules around gameplay. So we have a lot of testing to do. So we can probably set saying that we can probably make it into challenges where people can they can play against each other and they can form alliance with each other. Several goals can be set, which could be the objectives against which they're going to play. So they can form their own strategies in terms of how they're going to attack the regression, how they're going to perform functional testing, security testing, and so on. Several risks and rewards. For example, a product can be very risky. I mean, an activity could be very risk prone. So if they are ready to take up a particular risk prone activity, they can be rewarded accordingly. So these sort of things can be set up. And skills and chance events. So you're going to upgrade the skill set of the entire testing team which is reporting to a project using this. Cheating and compliance, we see that testing can be easily cheated. For example, the biggest problem that anyone would face as a test leader is whether are we reporting the right metric. It's very easy to cheat with your test cases. You just show pass or fail, and then you show some progress. But it might not be the actual progress just with using the test cases. So this has been one of the biggest challenge. But when you're going to use your gamification, you can make everyone adhere to a certain set of rules and regulation where people would voluntarily stick on to certain rules. So these can be certain things which can be thought of. So normally how game designers think, be it any sort of gaming companies, several metrics could be like treat your participants as players. Here it could be testers or developers. So they would be playing and you're just enabling them to play. So the set of rules that you're going to form should be such that they voluntarily participate. For example, we'll just move ahead, get your players playing and keep them playing. So these are certain things which are fun in a game. We like to solve problems, we like winning, we like to receive surprises, we love to do teamwork, recognition, whenever there is certain recognition given. So we love all of these in our game. So if these can be applied to your own work, you can still make it work. So let's take another example, another game, another social game. Again, it has all the game dynamics like resource collection, avatars, and so on. So we are going to use certain ideas. So as humans, we have a tendency that when a goal is given to us, we strive to go and achieve it, right? So that's the way even appraisals work. We are given a goal right in advance, a year ahead, and then we strive to achieve that goal. Once we achieve, either we achieve it or overachieve it or underachieve it, and then we are rewarded suitably. So we try to accomplish these goals. So similarly, when we go for any of these regression scenarios, for example, you would have seen this regression matrix where we have the priority and the risk involved, where we can say high risk element, medium risk element, low risk element, and similarly low priority, medium, and high priority. What we normally try to do in our regression testing is we try to take up all critical activities here, and the high risk activities, we try to finish this matrix first. So for us to go into production at a very short period of time, we try to cover this, and then if time permits, we take up rest of the activities. And normally what we see in most of the things, most of the projects are these set of activities are not at all covered because we don't have time nor the resources. So the same thing applies even for our apps and mobile testing. We don't have the resources in terms of human resources or the physical devices that we can play around with. So if we are going to make this a quest, saying that whoever is going to participate in this particular quest would be awarded certain points. This can be made open to projects or even developers. Developers can also participate in your testing, and they can also give out their own views onto it. So they can also be a game player. So you make people form alliance, and they can play against each other. So this can be one of the strategies which you can take up. For example, 2-3 players, you can form an alliance and you can play against each other. This could be one of the way. And simple way of rewarding could be just on the Scrum board. You don't even need complex systems. So you have your daily Scrum board. So what you can have is probably reward them, saying that you can make themselves an avatar. For example, if it's my photo, I can make myself a cartoon photo, and then you can stick saying that this person has been awarded an orange cap, like how Cognizant has done. So these are the various aspects which we can incorporate into our testing system. So several tips could be like gamify your normal day-to-day work which you are doing. So if you have certain tasks like writing your test cases, writing your scripted tests, and so on, you can award certain points, say 15 points, 20 points, and so on, for a certain amount of duration or based on the criticality of the work and so on. For example, people do a lot of exploratory testing. We find a lot of bugs, but these are not actually rewarded. So people who do not find bugs are also paid the same as people who are striving enough. So these can be one of the motivators for them to voluntarily come and take up any of the testing activity. So we can have points-based system where people can earn points based on the work that they are doing, and you just need to keep it simple. So the whole mechanics should be understandable by everyone so that people from external teams can also participate in your work. So one of the projects which worked for Camshaft is like this, where they had a system, a mechanism, whereby people who report bugs would be awarded certain points. They would be promoted to certain level. And if there is feedback on the system, which has already gone into production, they are awarded certain more points. And any quest, any challenges that they take up, they are awarded more points. And testing that they do are also awarded. Finally, you're promoted over in the power levels. So this can be used in exchange for a reward. So these rewards can be any sort of monetary rewards and so on. So when it comes to the app testing or the mobile testing, what plays an important role is crowdsourcing. So what normally companies like even Amazon, what we do is like we don't have sufficient amount of resources to go and test all sort of languages because we serve globally. So what we normally do is we also do crowdsourcing, whereby we take bugs and we reward people if there are any bugs. So even companies like Google, they do it. They conduct a lot of bug bashes, whereby bug bounties, and they reward you based on the bug bounties. So if you're going to report any sort of critical application, you would be awarded certain amount of, it could be monetary value and so on. So crowdsourcing, begin at your home. It could be your own company where you can involve your own developers or some external team members to come and participate, where you're going to give them some bounty for every bugs that they're going to find. And find another team who can help you. So go for external teams, external countries where you have a market with, and so on. Find the target group. The target group need not be restricted only to your company. It can be with any other external companies as well. So geologged release of products. When we don't, for example, US is a very big market for most of the companies here. So what we do is we release it to certain companies which are not going to pay you, but they're going to give you sufficient amount of information. For example, India, Indians don't really like to pay for the apps, but they give a lot of feedback. So we have been capitalizing on Indian market a lot, and bug bounties can be used. So some gotchas and criticism, though gamification has helped us, several things to make a note is gamification from Katie Sierra, this is a quote saying that gamification is the high fructose corn syrup of engagement, which means that it is sweet, but it's not really going to help you. People would have known her for her Java book, right? So this has been the criticism. Rewards can be demotivating. So if people are not really, over a period of time, there is an engagement decay. People are not really bothered about the rewards that you're going to give them. So, and also there can be intra-team rivalry, which can happen when they're going to form alliances with each other. And it's going to be sort of lot of, so when you're going to find many bugs, you would be made the star, and it would probably demotivate rest of the team members. So this should also be taken care when you're going to do this. And quantity versus the quality. People who find the maximum number of bugs should not be made higher in the leaderboard. Rather, we should be concentrating on the quality of the bugs that they're going to find. Pointsification, making everything a points might not also work. Engagement decay and empirical analysis of real-time data is very limited. So this has started only of late, so 2011 and so on. So which means that we don't have sufficient amount of resources for us to validate that gamification would work. People have been using, companies have been using Foursquare, LinkedIn, Google, Amazon. Most of the companies are using, and we are yet to see how gamification would help. So in summary, bad gamification is definitely going to be bad. If you're going to use this points system in areas where it's not going to work, it's going to be really demotivating for the entire team. And it's your responsibility to create meaningful challenges and quests so that everyone in the team can participate. So one of the best things to do is just try out and check if this is going to work out for you. And importantly, concentrate on the analytics, whether it's really working or not. So we do a lot of analytics at Amazon. So we look at each and every metric that we derive, and you can pioneer the revolution. So that said, this is my ID.